it's like, I don't know, man. I would just rather have it not suddenly be like that. Yeah, exactly. In the lower difficulties, you could still make those things matter. It doesn't have to be like a difficulty thing per se because crucially, if there's an ability that, let's just say that in order to make that one specific kick I'm talking about in this particular example, they made the ability hit a lot harder in that one specific instance. So if you didn't successfully kick it, like someone in the group would die. Like, you might think, well, that's going to make the dungeon a lot harder. Well, no, not really, because you can probably still four-man the boss and kill it at that point because you're on normal, you're on heroic, it's not that hard. But even if that's the case, it still teaches you, like, oh, I'm going to have to be concerned about that ability at any level. And so having abilities on bosses in an 8-boss raid, having abilities inside dungeons that basically don't really matter if you get hit with them until you reach the highest difficulty, that's a really weird design space, in my opinion. I will sometimes do LFR looking for raid to gear up my alts. And like in LFR, you can literally just stand in abilities. Like you can just ignore abilities and straight up DPS the boss, and you basically can't die because nothing's doing enough damage to you to actually threaten you. Same thing with just queuing into like even heroic dungeons, like random dungeons, heroic dungeons, time walking dungeons. Check all three on that one. Like nothing that's going to happen in the dungeon is really going to kill you unless you've like just started off. Like you've got the lowest of the low tier gear. You've never played World of Warcraft before. You know, then maybe something might kill you. But if you've got even a day or two under your belt, you're going to be like, man, this game's hella easy. And it'll keep feeling that way right up until the instant it's not. Right up until it's really hard. So I like that quality about Mythic, where it feels like you're playing the real game. But I can also say definitively that I bet there were people in the raid tonight that were really frustrated it was taking us that long to kill that boss. I'd even go ahead and say, in all my narcissism, that there were probably people in that raid frustrated at me for the number of times and the ways in which I was dying. I did hear my raid leader say kind of cheekily at the end, you know, hey, we had people that didn't even, you know, die once tonight. And it's like, yeah, we got some gamers. I get it. We got some great ass players. But I'm more of just a regular ass player. But that doesn't mean I doesn't like to be challenged. Doesn't mean I want to have the baby content. Thank you, Duke Vulture. I genuinely appreciate that. Because I did have a few ignoble deaths this evening, and I'm very aware of them. But by the end, I was gaming out of my mind. By the end, I was slamming and jamming. It was time to slam, and I said, welcome to the jam. Like, that's what was going on with me by the end. And I would love to be so good at the game that I could just walk up to the boss and have that shit dialed in from pull one to pull whenever we get the kill. But for me, at least, I have to learn the fight. And so I usually don't have any problem whatsoever if it takes 100 pulls, 200 pulls, because since I know I will need grace from my teammates, I just easily give it to others. If someone else fucks up and the raid wipes and we got to go again, that could have easily been me, you know? No upset the deacons here. You can go ahead and just go again. So I do appreciate the vote of confidence on that, Duke, because I was genuinely embarrassed in a few ways that I had died there. I did not enjoy dying in those various ways that I died. But I am glad that by the end, my brain was clicking it into place. I almost forgot to use the crests I earned from that kill to upgrade a piece of gear. And as much as I want to jump right into Mythic Plus, as much as I want to finish T&E's podcast, it's been over 3 hours since the babies saw me. Well, not over 3 hours. Well, maybe, because after I fed them last, I did do a bunch of before stream prep. So I'm gonna just check my cam real quick, and sure enough, yep, there's my babies assembled outside my door, looking right at it like, how could you do this to us? Let's go get some babies. Let's say hi to some kitties and give them some food before we do Mythic Plus. I know they'll enjoy that, and I'm pretty sure I will too. Babies. Oh, babies. You too, Duke. Have a great night. Thanks for dropping by. Hey, babies. You want to get down? This one jumped into my lap all on her own. And you can just barely see Athos in frame. Maybe if I put my feet up, it would elevate him slightly. You know, if I just put my feet up here. Little free feet. Little free feet. What's the matter, honey? You don't want to be held like a little baby? But you love being held like a little baby. Because I'm not looking directly into your eyes the way you like. What about you, Athos? What about you? Hmm? You can come up here. That's fine. Athos is really unique in the way that she expresses her affection. She loves rubbing her cheeks on my hands. And she loves getting cheek rubs. Isn't that right? Yeah. Oh, why don't you give me little knuckle licks too? Such a sweet girl. Yes, Aramis, I can hear you screaming. Whee! I didn't realize it, but Aramis had gotten her tail into an awkward position under my chair. That's not why she was screaming, but I noticed it when I began to pick her up. And if I had not noticed it, she might have been screaming for a different reason. She was just screaming because she wasn't getting attention. Which really, whomst among us? But I can't not give D'Artagnan. What about you, Porthos? You want to come say hi? You want to come say hi, sir? Here's my boy. Here's my Mr. Man. Where's my boy? There he is. The Thunder himself. The Thunderheart. Porthos the Heavy. Actually acquiescing to being held like a baby on stream long enough to get caught on camera. That might be a stream first. That might be a stream first. Little Porthos has always taken the longest to come around to affection. He was the last to acquiesce to pets. He was the last to acquiesce to lap time. And even now, he is the last to acquiesce to being held like a whittle baby. But he's coming around. He's coming around. Thank you for saying hi to the stream, Porthos. You can now return to your preferred position off camera in my lap, having it all to yourself. Your sisters might not let it stay that way if I were to camp out here, but we're gonna get you babies some food. Because that's the stream. Well, it's not the stream. We got more hours to go on the stream, but that's the thing. That's the thing. When I'm streaming, they're not in here. And so after they get their affection to remind them how beloved they are, they're like, where's the food, Jack? Why is the food taking so long? And who can blame them? I often have similar questions regarding the food. So I'm going to get these sweet babies some food. And then we're going to slam Mythic Plus for a few hours. You hear me? We're gonna get some food. You not want food? I think you do. Well, I know you do. I'm asking your brother. At the moment, he seems more content to be in my lap. You want food? You want food? D'Artagnan's looking at me like she wants food. What about you, Mr. Heavy? There we go. I feel better after Duke's kind words about my gameplay and after a little cuddle with the Musketeers. Mental's back on track. Make a guild chat real quick here. Okay, cool. Nothing to worry about in guild chat. Love seeing that. And let's get down to it. Let's get back into the Mythic Plus. Really glad we were able to get that boss down. It would have been a little crushing for the Mental to go the full raid time and not be able to get that one down. Because it's not a hard boss by any stretch, but there's a lot of individual elements of it that just requires people to know what they're doing. And I include myself in that. It requires me to know what I'm doing, which is a big ask. A mean feat. Alright, but we're back in my preferred Mythic Plus spec. We're back to do the dang thing. I do wonder if maybe I should have stayed Sentinel. But I think it's more appropriate that I do half the raid in Sentinel and half the raid in Dark Ranger, just so I can look at the logs and get a clearer sense of what was going on there. Anyway. Someone's doing a 6, that's not enough. Who is my friend on Tichondrius? Probably someone from my old guild. I do miss Stormguard. That was a great guild. I had a lot of fun with those guys. Let's finish up. Let's finish up the WoW podcast, obviously, and then of course we've got a little bit of the channel favorite. Where is it?
Arun Brown.
To do as well. And of course, we've got a Dratinos video. We've still got some bangers. We've still got some stuff on the docket.
My hopes aren't high, but I hope they do. But yeah, for me, at the moment, I genuinely feel like this is not a War Within patch. It hasn't had the same hype as I would feel for it. And sorry, I interrupted you.
No, it's all right. No, I was just going to agree with you. It's just you looking back on the War Within, you know, you look back on previous expansions and you're like, oh yeah, this patch was all part of.
I really want to try and get into a 10.
Story. This is not a War Within patch.
I really want to try to get into a 10.
I'm with you. I know Xalatath needs a little break. She needs a holiday, but I miss her.
Yeah, no, me too. Like genuinely. Yeah, because and so
maybe I'll settle for a 9.
The place, and I get it.
Maybe I'll settle for a 9.
We were just saying at the beginning of the podcast how nothing has ever touched it. There's never been anything like it, sort of thing. And yeah, that deserves a celebration, but it feels like it's taken the place of a proper War Within patch, and that doesn't feel good to me. I've got to say. Yeah,
and I know it's like an 0.0.5 patch, but yeah. It's still you kind of wish that.
Yeah, and 0.0.5 patches. I think this probably has more content in it than your average 0.0.5 patch in Dragonflight, but it doesn't feel like a War Within patch. That's the problem. Yeah, like it's not the fact that there's not enough content or whatever. It's like, it doesn't feel of the expansion. It feels like it's taking the place of something from the expansion. You know? I get what you're saying. It feels like the expansion is lesser because of it. Which is a shame because I love the expansion. It's really, really good. Yeah. Let's get on to our super chats to finish off because we've got a few. Thank you so much if you did do a super chat. Are you going to read them, Emmy?
Chatters. Yeah, I'll kick off with JS. Thank you so much for the super chat. Do you think old Ironforge Earthen had a council similar to Dornicles? Is that the origin of the Wildhammers, Bronzebeard, and Dark Iron clans? If If so, were the extinct Ironforge clan the Council Wars?
Probably
or
good
the
to warm
Stone
up on a
Wars?
9,
Oh.
regardless.
Sounds very likely, yeah. Good shout,
Yeah.
actually. And like, I think the way that the Earth and Dornagal have a council would definitely suggest that's just a natural way that the Titans kind of organize their underlings, or that they kind of naturally.
No, the Titans are liberals.
Very well, it could be a trait that kind of carries on to dwarves as well.
No
It
wonder
sounds
they're the
very likely.
baddies.
There's probably some book somewhere that contradicts that and tells me why I'm so wrong. But yeah, I buy that. Absolutely buy that as a thing.
Next one's from Buddy. Always so good to see you, Buddy. Cheers as always. Just want to shout out about how happy I am about.
Oh, sorry, and there'd have been the Stone Wards for sure.
Oh, yeah,
yeah,
of course,
definitely.
yeah.
Sorry, just to answer the question.
That's
Sorry.
right. No, yeah, we didn't answer the question. Just want to shout out how happy I am about Transmog collection changes. Heck yeah, can finally earn class-specific mug with anyone.
Yeah. That's wonderful, and particularly with like the old questing stuff as well. It's not retroactive like it was when Transmog
Let's make
first
sure
came
I'm
out.
fully
But
oiled.
like, just
perfect.
like a beautiful thing. Like anything that makes transmog collecting easier is
100%.
going to be a win for everyone. And I suspect like it's been technical limitations rather than
course,
kind of
yeah.
gameplay philosophy that stopped them doing it.
Of course, but
earlier.
even looking back now, it's like imagine picking up something that you want to transmog and not being able to add it to your collection. Imagine picking up an
Couldn't
item
be me. Not
in
these
game
days. Yeah.
and not being able to just learn it. And obviously, yeah, there was
three,
clearly like a technical limitation, and there
one.
clearly a lot of work went into making
All
this
right.
happen. But it's
Let's
such a
let's
basic
fucking
quality.
go, dude. Let's have a really good Miss Saturna Scythe run.
Thank God.
Let's have it go really well.
Aaron, thank you so much for the super chat. Lovely to see you. Would you both be willing to discuss the origins of your favorite characters' names? Love you both, XOXO. Also, have you heard of the channel Lurker?
What's the origin of Evertel?
Of
not sure I even
our
know.
characters' names. Yeah, Evitel is just like the name of my first night elf hunter, and I can't remember why. I really liked names that started with an E and that had V's in them. I thought so.
Nice.
There's only so far you can go after that, really, isn't it? It's like,
Yeah, you got E's, you got V's, you got it all.
There's like a hotel in Bali called the Evitel Hotel, which I think we need to go to now.
well, yeah, for sure. Like,
And
be
I
like,
remember,
hey,
or at least there was
don't know
at
if
some
you
point.
know.
Yeah, at least there was at some point, and but yeah, it's kind of has just stuck with my main character, and then Tally made it the name of our YouTube channel. Thanks, Tally. So now
It
I
was
can
your main
never-
in WoW.
I
why
know,
wouldn't it? Yeah.
and now I can't leave it behind. Although I can't just go by Evie, which I much prefer.
Wait, what?
Taliesin has a much more interesting.
Why did we die
background.
there?
It's not a made up name. Well, all names are made up, but Taliesin was a bard.
Oh,
in,
I got
like,
meleeed?
century,
What happened to the tank?
right? So it
Why
was
didn't the tank
Wales
hold
at the
aggro?
time, but it like geography.
It's a little
wise, it's
weird.
where like Birmingham would be now. He was in court there, and he was a very celebrated bard. Wrote like loads of big poems and stuff for his patrons. And he got turned into a kind of a Robin Hood type figure after his life, in that he was a real person who then got.
What are we
kind of
doing here?
entered into
Ooh,
folklore.
ooh.
And so now,
Ooh,
Taliesin
that's
is like
fun.
this
I haven't seen someone
mythical
use that
druid
before.
bard in Welsh folklore, who was born in a cauldron and had like foresight and magical powers and stuff like that. Yeah, he's either Merlin's father or Merlin, or like he's heavily connected to the Arthurian legend in some ways. But Taliesin is a big kind of Welsh cultural icon in that sense. Frank Lloyd Wright was very proud of his Welsh heritage, which is why he called his house name Taliesin. So there's all that as well. So it's always just been like a name which is very Welsh sounding, which obviously I like being Welsh, and is also very heavily connected to the arts and poetry and stuff like that, and mythology and stuff, which is awesome. And Mavamwi, my main character name, is just a cool Welsh name. Simple as that. There's like a Welsh language song called Mavamwi, which male voice choirs sing a lot in this
Target
country.
changed.
And then there's the character in Little Britain as well,
Right, yes.
who's like the barmaid with the only gay in the village and stuff like that, which is the thing people know the name mostly from, I think.
Okay.
But yeah, anyway, that's where those names come from. Again, I try and choose cool Welsh names or names
Watch
from
your
births, basically.
Fair.
That's my naming convention.
Allowed. Okay, next one is from Ara. Oh, good to see you, Ara. So, Miff, this one seems to be directed at you. With the game being 20 years old, how long do you think that it will last before they need to actually start again over patching on top of all that old code?
Yeah, so it's a case of like, you know, obviously the code that the game actually runs on now and the engine that the game runs on is completely different to the engine that it ran on in vanilla, right? Like, famously, this idea that WoW, I know this isn't what you're saying, but this idea that WoW runs on this old engine that they have to kind of make work in different ways, it's just not true. Like, the engine that WoW runs on now is completely different. But where they have the issue is the spaghetti code. There's so much, like, you know, there's literally millions of lines of code in this game written by maybe tens of thousands of devs at this point. And like, the vast majority of it is completely irrelevant or connected to things in weird ways. So like, you know, that famous thing of you delete a tree in Stormwind and you might delete a dungeon in Orgrimmar or something like that. You know, and it's, you just don't know
invisible
why.
bunnies.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So yeah, and to be honest, there's no way you can really change that without literally just doing a root and branch and replacing everything. But the amount that you would lose in doing that, one of the great joys of WoW, one of the great charms of WoW, I think, is that you know, you've got all of this stuff that doesn't really matter anymore, but it's still there, because that's world building, and that's like, you know, that's a living world happening right there, and that's, you know, it might not be a thing that even is relevant anymore. It might be this weird quirk that never got ironed out or something like that, but there's 20 years worth of it. And like, if you just created a new game with a new engine and completely fresh code, inevitably you're going to lose so much of that, and it's going to feel incredibly empty and bare and shallow as a result, you know, no matter how much easier it makes to implement something like player housing or something like that. And one of WoW's great triumphs is that they seem to always be able to update and add new things. It might take them a bit longer, it might take them a lot more work and money to do it, but they generally do it.
Right?
Yeah, exactly. So I don't know, I kind of hope they find a way to just keep building on top of the old spaghetti code and making it work rather than actually starting fresh. You know?
Plenty of wonderful cities built on the ruins of Rome.
Doing that, I was listening to Pirate Software talk about this the other day. Like,
The ship of Theseus is better upon return than upon departure.
30 years worth of code, like popping up weird, like stuff all the time. Honestly,
except for when it like completely borks your inventory. And
well, that too, yeah,
and, like deletes your
that happens
your
in new
bank.
games as well.
I know,
like, so I mean, that's the thing, and like, I think, you know, the fact that we've got all the spaghetti code and WoW's patch launches still are as good or smoother than other MMO patch launches if you look at them. You know, one thing that being in games and being a gamer has taught me is that basically it's impossible to launch an MMO patch. It just always goes wrong, no matter what the MMO is. You know, like there's not much they can do. So yeah, I think they do well. It's still one of the best looking MMOs on the market. It's still one of the best playing MMOs on the market, and you know, it's still got one of the best communities in you know, games as well. Certainly in MMOs. So yeah, it ain't broke really, or you know, we're doing a good job at fixing it as we go. So I think that's good, right? I think that's great. I think it's a good place to be.
Yeah. Next one up from 100% Not Thundas. Thank you, 100% Not Thundas. Loving my Drakthir Warrior. Instant main change. If I got this in Dragonflight, it would have been taken the #1 spot. Are you race swapping to any Drakthir?
I need you to explain to me how often I can stay out of dragon form if I were to do this.
Like I think 100%. I think you can always fight in your visage form. That's why they chose certain classes.
Okay.
That you could.
I mean, you of course will turn into a dragon when you're flying.
I believe that's true. So what have we got? We've got hunter, rogue, warrior, mage, warlock, and something else. One other guy.
Priest.
Priest, of course. Priest.
Yeah.
Sure.
So are you gonna?
You know the class your husband plays.
Every class in the game, like at max level right now, or, you know, which I'm working on. Like, so, I don't know. Like, yeah, I guess I can be a cool half elf with like funny coloured hair. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, and
Can't
like
argue with
fake
that.
jewelry.
Yeah, I've seen people with like posting their half elves and they look cool.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
target
If you
you,
really
know.
put some time into your
Knocking
visage
back.
form, I think you can.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
look,
Soaring, obviously, I think you.
The reason I don't play much Evoker is because I have to like be a dragon when I do it, and I just don't. You know, whenever I go to click on my Evoker and level my Evoker, I'm like,
Target
do I really
change.
want to do this? Do I really want to be a goofy ass
Target
dragon?
you.
And
I-
the answer is more
Knocking
often than not
back.
no.
I like being a
Yeah,
goofy
I
ass
like that with other
dragon. That's
classes
fun.
as well,
We'll be
right?
leveling
I
our
can't help it, it's just not
Drakthir
for
this
me. I'm not
weekend, I
slagging, I'm
think.
just saying they're not for me.
Yeah.
It's fine.
I might give it a try actually. We shall see.
Yeah.
Nebule and Erilyn, so nice to see you guys. Thank you for being here and thank you for the super chat. When BlizzCon was cancelled, they said we're planning multiple global in-person events to commemorate the anniversary. Do you think that'll still happen? I still
No.
very vividly remember them saying those words.
I'm pretty sure they said that
the,
before the Microsoft
events
acquisition.
In Switzerland, we had the WoW concert, which was billed
Target
as a
you.
20th anniversary event,
Knocking
which we
back.
went to, which was a joy and pleasure. A little bird told me that there was going to be some kind of event, maybe, but nothing has materialized
Not
as of
yet,
yet.
no.
So I'm kind of, I'm surprised considering we're coming up to the end of October.
Yeah. I was hoping there was going to be more stuff.
Yeah.
And we were up for it. We were like, we'll go anywhere. Like,
Yeah, I
you
was
know,
like,
we'll
literally,
do
I will do
Whoops.
anything. So I am actually quite surprised because it is coming to the end of the year and nothing else has really happened. And they, if they are going to announce anything, that it might be a smaller scale, and it does feel a little bit late for it. So yeah,
I'm still
expecting-
crushed that there's no BlizzCon, honestly.
Yeah, same. I expect, the wording of that was like, okay, we're gonna have, there's gonna be like a celebration in Australia. There's gonna be an American thing,
An
there's gonna be
Aussie
European
BlizzCon?
thing. Major European cities might have some. like,
Nar.
It felt that's kind of how it read to me, but maybe that was just.
Yeah, I mean,
Like
I-
Warcraft Direct doesn't make up for it. Like it's
No.
not like
Target
a
change.
podcast isn't
Knocking back.
And there's
gonna
like
do it for me.
something that we all
Target you.
commented on last BlizzCon
Knocking
was
back.
it's so important for the soul BlizzCon. Like, just get a whole bunch of people who like WoW in one place together, and they're nice people. They're not like the people that are horrible, right? I know this sounds so bad, right? But it's just a whole bunch of people who, yeah, they all have complaints or whatever, but essentially they all just love the game, they want to celebrate it, and they want to be in each
Yeah.
other's company.
Heck yeah.
And that's just
That
so
is very good for the
refreshing
community.
soul, and I think it's good for literally everyone involved.
Literally
And
everybody.
The devs,
Yeah.
it's when the devs get recharged, and like creators and players get recharged, and it just sets you up for the next year, really, of being enthusiastic and knowing that you're not just alone and liking stuff, which it can feel like that
Breath
sometimes.
incoming.
Yeah.
So I think it is detrimental to the game not to have a BlizzCon.
Absolutely. It's I think detrimental to the people working on it, the people associated with it, to the people covering it, and the people playing it.
And I think it's quite sad that this idea that we can only have a BlizzCon
Breath
if
incoming.
there's like a WoW expansion that is due to be announced.
That's not
Because
Target
it's like,
change.
come on, other games, pick it up, man. We want BlizzCon. Like this idea that, well, it's natural there's no BlizzCon because there's nothing to announce. It's like, well,
Breath
okay,
incoming.
sure,
Yes.
yeah, whatever, man. But yeah, I've heard whisperings about events that don't seem to be happening, so I don't know what's going on there.
Who knows?
Yeah.
Who knows? Still some time left in the year. Speaking of time, I need to run and I need to go collect the children. So Tally's going to cover the rest of
And
it.
so often
You
the
know?
case, we have run over a little bit. Sorry about that.
Just
so,
a teeny weeny bit.
but I will get to the rest of these questions now, as promised.
Yep. So I'm off. Thank you guys. Had a really good time. Please be nice for Tally. Love you. Bye.
Well, it's good she said that because we wouldn't have been nice otherwise.
Interrupt.
Caddy.
Au revoir,
ATV,
Vitel.
one Anniversary
Knocking
question, if
back.
that's okay. In the lead up to the war within, you
Target
were
you.
concerned about underground
Knocking back.
zone fatigue. Is that something that you felt in game or seen others discussing? That's such a great question. Yeah, it was something that I was genuinely worried about going into war within, and I can't say I've noticed it so far personally. And I think one of the reasons for
Target
that is like,
change.
so much of this expansion is set above ground, right? You know, like, but also the fact that the underground zones feel very, very different from each other. Hallowfall doesn't feel like an underground zone. You know, really, it's only the two zones, Ashkahet and the Ringing Deeps, that properly feel underground. But then a lot of the dungeons are set underground. Obviously, delves feel very undergroundy. I think one of the things
Wait,
that
what?
really works about
What?
for me
What is he doing?
is
Bro.
that
Bro,
there's
bro,
a
bro.
great sense of like
What are we doing, bro?
descending. You know, like something I've
Oh, is he like pulling
enjoyed
through the wall or some shit?
so much,
Is
which
he doing
didn't
pulling
come,
through the wall tech?
from, you know, when you went
Oh,
down into
shit.
the underground zone in Dragonflight, you know, you did go down a bit, but you were mostly kind of going round.
This guy's wall hacking, dude.
Descending that much. Whereas there is such a sense in Dragonflight at all times that you are going down huge fucking holes, and that feels kind of fun and kind of exciting. I love going down the Coreway into the Ringing Deeps. I love going from the Ringing Deeps or Hallowfall down into Ashkahet. Like, that feels amazing. Like, that drop off down into Ashkahet from whichever way you approach it, it feels magical. It feels like so huge and so like, you know, like important and massive, and like you really are descending into the depths. And so the journey down there feels really good. I think all of the zones are a lot more, they have a lot more levels than the underground zone in Dragonflight had as well. So I think, oh, and like, yeah, even within zones, you got stuff like where you're going down into the sinkhole and stuff like that in Hallowfall, which again, I think feels absolutely amazing when you're like saying, and you know, so there's so much
Stay
more
away from lines.
height and depth in these zones than in anything in Dragonflight, I think, and that feels really, really good. So for me, I haven't reached that underground fatigue yet. I think it looks like very wisely they're planning the next patch to be on an island somewhere, which is exactly what I have done as well. And of course, I think they were very clever in the.
I thought I was out of that.
The narrative questing campaign as well, by having the actual kind of main quest campaign
Stay away from lines.
be so short, and I think that was on purpose because I think they just wanted to get
Yeah,
you through
it's a
all the
dodgeball.
zones as quickly as possible and get you into a position where you could choose what zone to be in. So
Stay
if
away
you
from
did
lines.
start to feel claustrophobic in the Ringing Deeps, you know, that would
Target
you could
changed.
always just go to a different zone and start doing side quests or world quests and stuff there. You know, there wasn't a sense of, and I think that's one of the
Stay
things
away
that
from
really
lines.
is why people have such bad memories about Vashar. What's the underwater zone in Cataclysm?
Bashir.
Oh shit, what's it called? But one of the reasons that felt like so claustrophobic, and one of the reasons people felt trapped
Stay
in
away
that
from
zone,
lines.
was because you were literally just in it for so long questing. Like the questing campaign in that zone is so long. And it's got like 2 false endings to it as well. There are like 2 moments after you've done so much
Stay
questing
away
where you
from
think you're done
lines.
with that zone, and it turns out you're not. For sheer, thank you. You know, so I think like getting you through all of the zones and then letting you go back to each one as and when you wanted to, and
Stay away from lines.
like, you know, spend as much time there as you wanted to, and then you can just move to whatever other zone you want as you feel fit. I think having that freedom has been very important to avoid like the underground fatigue.
Stay away
So
from
I think they've
lines.
done really, really well. And to the extent where I enjoy being underground because it's my choice, right? And yeah, it's really cool. So
Target
not for me,
changed.
and I can't say I've really heard anyone else talk about it either. So if you are getting underground fatigue from the War Within zones, let me
Stay
know.
away from
I'd love
lines.
to hear from you because I'd like to hear that opinion. Ariel, awesome to see you.
Alright.
The devs are going to have to do a
We can still time this 100%
closure of
though.
current main
We can still
characters
time this.
to move into
And we
the
will
sides
time
of
this.
characters. Yeah. And they are, and I think you know, to a large extent they will. Obviously, you're not going to get like payoff for every single character, and that's the thing with WoW. You're never going to win because you could give like every character you can possibly think of an amazing, satisfying like payoff to the World Soul Saga, and there'll always be some motherfucker on Twitter whose favorite,
No, it's not Twitter. It's X, the everything app. Say its name.
like, what about Tapatos? Oh, such a missed opportunity. They didn't do anything with Tapatos. Just shows you how little the writing team care. What about Tapatos, motherfucker?
Yeah, what about
it's
Tapartos,
never
dude?
gonna be able to
Fuck that,
touch every
Dranny,
character
dude.
and give everyone the payoff that someone thinks they deserve, right? and that's
To
just the nature of
Parthos,
beast to a certain degree.
incredibly
And,
overrated.
you know, not everyone needs to have their
Lust next in all
storyline
caps.
talked about
Incredible.
by the end of the saga anyway, because they might feature in the next one. I don't think there's going to be a significant time skip between the sagas. I think it's just like it's going to be like a Final Fantasy 14
Bro's
style
about to
thing of,
pull
we are
fucking
just presenting
fatty.
this story in the form of 3 expansions, and I think what that has achieved so far is given a lot of people a lot more trust in the story because they know they've got plenty of time to sort it. So, like, you know, if someone does disappear for a bit, it'll be like, well, we got the rest of the saga for them to come back and sort that out. So I think it has brought Blizz a lot of slack, you know, and a lot of
Fuck, dude.
leeway and a lot of understanding when it comes to character arcs in the War Within, and I hope they don't squander that. I hope they do. I think they will. From what I've heard from the devs and the story team, you know, the fact they know exactly where they're going, they know what the ending is. They know
That
the
does
story
help when
they
it comes to
tell.
storytelling.
Yeah, I'm really, really hopeful that it's going to be very satisfying in that sense. Yeah. But I've been wrong before. But I feel like that's good. I saw that Preach video. I didn't watch it, but I watched like the first 5 minutes of it. I was like, I don't need to watch this right now. I don't need this in my life. So, but yeah, I feel like I didn't agree with his criticisms on the pacing of the story. It's like I actually don't give a shit that half of the max level campaign came out 1 week after release. Actually, I quite liked it. So different strokes for different folks, right? Like, and especially with early access as well, right? I don't feel like there's any other way you could have done it. But, yeah. What about Lithraxian? My personal feelings on Lithraxian is that I hope he's not the Shadowlands spy. Like, I think he's a much more interesting character if he is just a legit light-bound demon, right? I think that's just much more interesting. So we'll see. This time next year we'll already be in Midnight Alpha. I don't even think that's copium. No, I don't think that's copium either, buddy. I think that's spot on. I think we're looking at 18-month expansions from here.
Yep.
For sure, definitely.
Yep.
3 season, 2 major patches, 18-month expansions. I'd bet my...
I mean, that's going to be what they unveil at the WoW event in November. It's going to be the next roadmap.
Good morning, T&E.
They're going to unveil the next content patch.
100% not Thunders.
They'll unveil the
What's
next
happened to
raid.
Thunders? I miss it. Tally, since you confirmed the armor sets are going to be trading posts on the weekly, when should I expect them? Yeah, I made a little joke in the weekly reset about, you know, obviously these tier 2 sets are time limited to this event, and maybe they'll turn up on the trading post later on. Obviously that was just a joke. One thing I forgot is that Blizzard have actually confirmed that all of these tier 2 sets will be coming back in, you know,
Future anniversary.
anniversary events. Like these are going to be standard anniversary awards. So yes, you can only earn them during anniversary
That's
celebrations.
good. That's the way it should be.
But from what I gather from what Blizz has said, they will be available every anniversary. So, you know, that's good, isn't it? If you don't get them all this anniversary, you have to wait a year to try again next year, you know. And I think that's just as well. I think
Yeah, that's fair
the
enough.
right thing to do. Correct decision, yay.
Gives you enough time to get the ones you really want to get.
Watching
Circle back
two of
on the
them,
rest.
Nicest people I've gotten to meet in the past at BlizzCon. Oh, midlife crits, yeah, how you doing? And Chinese takein. Oh shit, that makes me hungry. Oh, dude, we had a Chinese takeaway on Friday, and I love that stuff. I look forward to a Chinese takeaway. So yeah, I would. Oh god, we're going to a Halloween disco at our kids' school tonight. So we'll see, but maybe I can convince Evie that takeout would be a good idea tonight. Enrico, super chat reminder in reverse. Cheers and love. What a great way to finish the super chats. Thank you guys. I am thrilled that you joined us for today, and thrilled that we basically got through with very minimal technical problems. I'm going to go around the back of the...
There were fewer technical issues this stream for them than in prior
all of the
ones.
wires in Evertel's kind of leap,
Killads.
because I agree with people in the chat. The sound issues do sound like they're just coming from a duff wire somewhere. So I'm just going to replace them all, and we'll see if that sorts our problems. Hopefully it will. And we'll be back sounding crisp and fresh and beautiful for next week. I'm really
Fantastic.
interested to see how people
Run.
feel about the 20th anniversary event this time next week. After we've had a few days to kind of get in there and do our dailies and our weeklies and just enjoy it. I'm probably going to log in and play a bit more right now. Whether or not I'll stream it, I don't know. Maybe I just need a bit of personal time. Who knows? Thank you, OnZone. Oh, paying for the takeout, OnZone. That is an MVP move. Thank you very much. Well, okay, it's
That'll make it easier to justify to Evitel as well.
Appreciate that. Cheers.
Hey, honey, let's get
Thank you to
takeout.
everyone who,
One of our subs paid for
purchased
it. Hell
our,
yeah, dude.
Spoiler bot, our Redbot spoiler bot, by the way. We sold over 500 of those, which is a bit embarrassing with
Target
how many it is.
changed.
That's brilliant. Thank you so much.
Lineup brilliant.
Those will now go into production. I mean, I can't say when you'll be getting them, but you will all be getting them, and that's wonderful. Like Makeshift are a legit company. They're really cool. Like the quality is like off the chart. Having had the prototype,
Yeah, we timed it. Even with some silly
so I can
deaths
confirm
from
that
silly gooses
if
like
you're watching,
myself,
you will not
you
be
still time that.
disappointed. I
It's not a
promise
big
you're
deal.
gonna really love it. So hey, awesome.
It's
And,
not a
maybe
big
one day we'll make
deal.
a plushie, not for another year or so. For people. We'll see. Thank you to everyone that joined us today. Thank you to, if there is anyone.
Hit 'em
if
with
I
the
do manage to get this up on one of the
GGs.
other, platforms,
Hit 'em with
hopefully
the
join us for that. Thank you
GGs.
everyone that joined us for the live recording of this. Sorry for the bit at the beginning where we stop and start again. If you're watching the VOD, thank you. I love that they made Elemental Shaman Mastery the best stat and then have no mastery in the new raid. Hey, ain't that the life, Kenshin Elite? Ain't that the life? But at least you got the new Ascension forms. They're pretty good. And Shaman, dude, Shamans are not allowed to complain about anything in the War Within so far.
Wow.
At all.
Look at this cool looking purple
Guys,
guy.
thank you so much from me, Taliesin, and Evertel as well. Until next time, cheerio.
Such lovely people. So lovely. But now, for a different,
Pendejo.
entirely, friend of the channel.
Arun Brown.
Oh, sweet God, my God.
We got a big god.
We got a big
We
guy.
got a big guy.
Whatever happened to that guy? Somebody should check in on that guy. If you don't know what I'm talking about, there was some clip. There's some clip from years ago that I played on this channel where
About 2 years ago, it would have been the third video he did on those crazy school board meetings that were happening due to COVID. I believe this one was in Louisiana. The gentleman was talking about how we got a big god. You can't be putting these masks on us.
some guy was like, "We got a big god."
We got a
I have
big
no
god.
idea how to find it or where it is. People have sent it to me multiple times and I lose it every time.
Yeah.
But all that being said,
We got a big god.
anyway,
We got a
guys,
big god.
before we get into the main crap of this show, there's something I've always wondered. There's something
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how to speak English, by the way. This is all a rehearsed thing. There's something I've always wondered about this show and about YouTube in general. What do dogs like? Do we have a graphic for that?
What do they like? What do they got?
Ooh, here we go. This is a dog from the Reddit. Who posted this? Dangerous today, 1874. Ambiguous name.
You have such a crazy laugh.
Easy laugh.
Don't say that. Don't say that. I said
Okay, then
it,
he's
but-
back to normal. Yeah, you know, I've really been trying to get into the algorithm, the dog algorithm.
Yeah,
really
that's the
trying to
best
get these
algorithm to be
goddamn,
in.
whew, harsh words, dogs to watch my show. And I guess that's what I gotta do. High-pitched noises.
The great Dronzini here chiming in. Let me try to do a high-pitched noise for dogs real quick.
Oh my god, LeBron James, what is that?
I think that's mostly an error with the AI software. That's part of my life, man.
Goddamn that wretched little barf, LeBron James. Damn him to the depths of hell for all eternity. We'll be right back. Right now. I saw Sam Cedar talking about this, and I'm kind of like weirdly fascinated.
So there he's saying, it really hurt when you said I didn't have a girlfriend and I don't have a child.
I am like weirdly and maybe unhealthily fascinated by this. And I
We're talking about Mr.
I'm not here to play stupid games with morons.
guess this is person of the day graphic. It's Tim. It's Tim again. But this thing about like my family, I have a family, I don't have a family thing. It is one of the weirdest things I've ever
family,
seen
bro.
on the internet. And it's another moment, and it's yet another moment where this guy is easy content because he's wacky and he's lying to people all the time. But this does make me feel sorry for him. Let's watch this. Okay.
When we're at a point where I don't
Invited to the
want
necrotic way.
to put my family at risk.
Do you have one?
And there's limited things I'm willing to say because of the
Okay.
psychopaths who threaten us every single day and the very serious threats
yeah.
that we do receive almost every single day.
Are you
Great.
But as I mentioned, we've talked about it. So with that being said, it's kind of the weirdest way to announce that I'm pursuing, my family life to the best of my abilities. And I will stress too, one of the most frustrating
What's that
things
mean?
about comments, for instance. I
Trying
don't
to
have
have
to
a
read the
baby.
comments. I know that half of them are just stupid and half of them are great.
Yay!
But it really does sting when, for the past several years, there are people saying, haha, Tim, you don't have any children. Why aren't you married? And the reality is because I'm sacrificing to try and make this work and produce something that I think is valuable to people. And it comes to a point where
Okay, so first we were blaming all our employees on the show being bad, and now you're blaming the show on you don't have a family. Okay. This is unfair, right? To make fun of this guy. This is mean. I'm not okay. Hey, wait. I want to do it this way. I'm not being mean. It's just odd. No hard feelings. This is just odd.
where I said, why should I, when I should just do
Right.
what any good man would do and have my
Why should I?
family? Well, we'll try to do it all.
Have
So
my
that is the
family.
big announcement,
Okay. Going
and we will do what we can to make this show
Going like
continue
this?
functioning and working.
going
It
like
may
this?
mean that we won't have guests on
guess.
Friday, but Fridays will be crew
Yes, that's the
shows where
announcement.
members.
Yeah, I'm kind of interested to see if the Sam Cedar debate thing happens. I think I'm gonna live stream that because I think there'll be so many funny moments in that I gotta live stream. I gotta Hassan Piker that one. But I do want to have a little bit of empathy for this guy because we're seeing something here that's kind of telling. There's been a lot of talk the past, I don't know what, almost 10 years about like younger men. Younger men are like going on 4chan and they're kind of going crazy. They're saying all this right-wing stuff. They're falling for like Andrew Tate type crap. And what it looks like, what we're seeing here is, I think Patrick Bet-David was kind of right in some kind of way. Not really, but in some kind of way he was right, that there is like this ego trap that this guy's in, where he's like, I'm a businessman, and I'm a tough guy, and all this stuff. And I'm real smart, and I know all kind of stuff, and I memorized some talking points and all this. And he's kind of trapped in this like fake version of himself that's like, a smart, tough guy, cool guy. And when you do that, you kind of become weird and alienated from the world, and that's kind of what's going on here. Because if
This
you think
can
about
get
it,
me score, by
if
the
you're
way.
in a relationship with
One
somebody,
of the few remaining
like
keys
every
left to
couple
do it at
kind of
9
knows
to
this.
get me
You don't really
score.
talk about
And I
this.
want to get that
You don't really
score.
talk about this stuff. If you're out to dinner with like 2 other people, much less, I don't know, 100,000 people watching a video, you don't say, "Hey, we're working on having a baby." People are like, "Ugh, yuck."
I don't want to hear about that. We're leaving.
People don't really want to hear that. If you have a baby, that's great. Somebody gets pregnant, then it's like you make an announcement. But like, I mean, this is good. There's kind of an
We're
unspoken
working
thing
on
that
it,
this is kind of
dude.
something
Just so
that you
everyone
keep
knows, we're
yourself,
working on
because you're
it.
kind of outing the other person too, and you might not have a baby. There might be complications. All this kind of crap. This is just sort of basic social intelligence stuff. So that's why it kind of comes back to the like guys on 4chan stuff, in the right wing Andrew Tate political stuff. It's kind of guys who, they're kind of stuck in an ego thing, and if they could just let that go, they would be able to just kind of learn to be normal, I think. But it still is funny, and this is Pobrecito Zone. Maybe we should check in on the Pobrecito Zone real quick.
Series of, I'd never call out anybody personally or.
This is real Pobrecito Zone stuff. To call your girlfriend your family is, it's just basic social intelligence stuff. Wait, hold on, I'm getting a dip.
Dip, 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 dip.
Ooh, we got a new segment. Oh,
Nobody died.
we got an amazing new segment. Election Watch. Election Watch 2023. I'm gonna call it 2023. Just to be confusing.
Deep, dip, 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 deep. LeBron James.
The pendulum is swinging to the right in America. At least that's what Andrew Prokop argues in a new piece.
At least that's what
Daddy can do no wrong
is
piece
saying.
for Vox, but so does Dave
heard of him.
Weigel
Never
in a
heard of
piece that
him.
he wrote for Semaphore.
Okay.
And I think that they actually do have a point. So the Vox piece that I'm talking about is titled "The Big Political Shift That Explains the 2024 Election."
Right.
Progressives felt they were gaining, now they're on the defensive.
You know that she was for all of these positions that are now seem enormously extreme,
Right.
like free gender change surgery for undocumented immigrants who are detained. And look, even if you're in favor of that,
Chang,
you've got to
brother.
recognize that is really far out there on the political spectrum. Okay,
No
If you
one's
don't
talking
recognize
about
you're
that,
in a
bro.
Ooh, okay, so 2024 election watch. I wanted to start with this one because I've kind of been hearing this a lot. Like, probably like Tim Pool. Who else? Yeah, that's my main newsman, Tim Pool. Where do I get
Tim
my
Pool
news?
and the Young
Tim
Turks,
Pool.
basically
My
the
main
same
/
program.
sole source of news, Timothy James Pool. Timford S. Poolston.
Timothy S. Poolford.
I've been hearing this a lot on YouTube. Like, a lot of people are pissed off at
Kamala.
Harris because she supports gender care for undocumented immigrants who are detained. This is something it
I mean,
just
what, they
like
don't deserve
turned
human
into
rights?
white noise because I was hearing it so much from like Charlie Kirk, Tim Pool, whoever else. But finally, I'm like, okay, what? Let me like.
Yeah, let's look into this.
Okay, so here we
Let's look at this a little bit more than not at all.
go. This is the first kind of interesting piece of this little, I don't know, puzzle. Under Trump, who?
Run out.
It's weird.
Oh, Donald Trump. Under Trump, U.S. prisons offer gender-affirming care. The Trump administration's approach is notable. No, it's not. In light of a campaign ad that slams Vice President Kamala Harris for supporting
Yeah, just say it
taxpayer-funded
every
transgender
possible way you
surgeries
can
for
say it, I
prisoners and
guess.
migrants. Trump appointees at the Bureau of Prisons, a division of the Justice Department, provide an array of gender-affirming treatments, including hormone therapy for a small group of inmates who request it during Mr. Trump's 4 years in office.
And speaking of Kamala Harris, today
Never
our
heard of her,
Verified
though.
team is taking a closer look at a campaign commercial that focuses on the VP. Our team has
Okay.
been fact-checking the political ads you're seeing right here on
Caught a
TV
body.
and on social media.
You better not.
And this one in particular, we've gotten dozens of emails about. The ad claims Harris
Okay, wait. So this does happen in the real world. People are like, wait, what's going on with that? I think it's funny that they emailed the news,
Yeah, the
local
news.
news. Oh,
Hey, can you
Charlotte,
guys
North
tell
Carolina.
me
They're
if
like,
this
hey,
is
what the hell's
real?
going on?
we've gotten dozens of emails about. The ad claims Harris supports using taxpayer money to pay for sex changes for inmates. Tonight,
Okay.
our Megan Bragg verifies that claim.
Go ahead.
Hell yeah, Megan
I wanted
Bragg.
to start out by saying there are two different ads about this topic that are currently running on air. Today, we
Oh,
are
great.
only looking at the one that focuses
What a
on
great
her
use of money.
beliefs during her presidential campaigns, not her time as Attorney General in California.
Kamala supports taxpayer-funded sex changes for prisoners.
This ad is paid for by Donald Trump's campaign. So does
Okay.
Kamala Harris
I've heard of
support
that guy.
taxpayer-funded gender transition surgeries for prison inmates in the United States? Let's verify. It stems from 2019 when Harris
Yeah, let's
originally ran
verify.
for president. At the
Okay.
time, she voiced her support for funding transition-related care, including surgery for transgender prison inmates.
Yeah,
in
human rights.
2019,
Yeah,
she
human rights.
also filled out this candidate questionnaire from the ACLU. One of the
Okay.
Medical
questions
care, a
asked
human
if,
right,
as
yeah.
president, she would use executive authority to ensure transgender people who rely on the state for medical care, including those in prison, would have access to comprehensive.
Well, good, because when you are a prisoner and you are a ward of the state is responsible for your medical care. Even medical care that may be politically something you don't like. It's still medical care. Motherfucker, you have to provide it.
Treatment.
Okay, so I did a bunch of looking into this, and here's the story. Here's the story. So it looks like about 4% of people who are imprisoned, captive. About 4% of the total number of people who are thrown or tossed into prison, about 4% are transgender. And if you imprison somebody, you know, ideally you're supposed to treat them with human rights, you know?
Yeah.
I mean,
Novel
that
concept for
probably doesn't always
Americans, but,
happen.
you know.
I'm going to take a wild guess at that. But you're not supposed to torture people. You're not supposed to, like, neglect them to the point where, you know, you're doing more harm than good and you're making everything worse and all this. You know, and I read articles and interviews about this where it's like, yeah, there are transgender people and they need certain medical care. What are you going to do? Say no? You're in jail? No, you can't have that? If you're imprisoning somebody, they're your responsibility. And that's kind of part of it. And that's, if you're wondering, like, why did they do that under Trump? Trump's against that, right? And it's because you kind of have to.
Yeah.
You know, you have to / should because they're human beings. You know, they deserve medical care and to be treated like human beings. But also, they've run into legal trouble with this.
Yeah.
States, prisons, all this. There have been transgender people who are like, I need hormone therapy. I'm transgender. I haven't been able to get it. It's causing me a lot of problems.
So
and
I'm
then
gonna
they
sue
end
your
up having
ass.
to sue, and then
Yeah.
that causes
And then
a
they
bunch of
win,
problems.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's kind of the story.
Yeah.
The summary of the story, it's a very small number of people. You know, statistically, transgender people are a very small group. They require certain medical attention. Do they not require that if they're in prison? No. Do they not require that if they're in prison? See, this doesn't really add up. And then the clip that I played where the Charlotte News fact-checked this, the whole Kamala Harris thing doesn't even add up to much. She checked a box from the ACLU. You know, civil rights groups will come to a presidential candidate and they'll be like, hey, do you support, you know, fair treatment of people? And presidential candidate will say yes, you know. It's stuff like that. So even that part is kind of thin. I think Chank from TYT was making sort of a different point where it's like, look, in this media consent manufacturing landscape, like, if you say anything, people will get scared because they've been so, you know, brainwashed by the media. But that is the bigger point here. That is kind of the bigger point is, you know, people in Charlotte, North Carolina are writing in the local news station because they're seeing ads that are like, Kamala Harris, transgender prisoners, They're like, what? What's going on? That's kind of the real problem. They're watching a bunch of right-wing media that's telling them that they should be real scared of this. Of, you know, what I think of as basic medical care for people who were locking up. You know, basic humane treatment of human beings who are locked up. I don't want to be locked up. You know, and to avoid getting sued and all that stuff. They've been convinced this is a huge problem. You should be worried about this. You should be scared of this. That's really the thing. And that's sort of the whole
I guess nobody else is going to take the spear? I don't want to do the spear.
There's all these articles coming out now that, like, America's
No
becoming
one
more
else is gonna do it,
right-wing.
so I'll do
To
it.
give a good little counterpoint to these other articles, here's one by Bronco Marketique. I don't know if I'm saying that name right. Bronco. Oh, cool name. Bronk. Oh! The U.S. isn't moving right. The Democrats are. Hey, take it back, goddamn you. Take it back, goddamn you to hell. Okay, here we go. Let's read some of this crap right here, goddamn you. 5 years ago, as a candidate for the Democratic nomination, Kamala, catered to the social justice left. Now she tells Oprah she'll shoot intruders with her Glock. Whoa, that's what I call progress. The American Enterprise Institute recently
Amazing.
celebrated, pointing to Harris' moves to catch up with a more conservative voting public. Kamala Harris is running to the center-right because America's center-right. National Review blared last month. Dave Weigel argued
blared
that
this.
Democrats have adjusted to an electorate that has shifted to the right by making several major policy concessions. Don't be so sure, Bronco says. Whoa, hey, this guy's a goddamn loose cannon. Okay, let's see what happens here. It's not that there's nothing to this. Immigration has become a more important issue to voters across the board, and far-right ideas like mass deportation, yada, 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 now have support from majorities or pluralities of Americans. And polling shows that...
want to cast a spell. Lychee Ember 3, thank you very much for that follow. Welcome to the stream and to the Deke fam. We're just doing our second Mythic Plus of the night. We got our first Mythic Raid Boss kill earlier in the stream. We're having a great one. I hope you're doing well too.
that the public has lagged or moved the other way on topics related to transgender Americans, who the right has been somewhat successful at turning into a wedge issue. So that's an interesting part right there when he's talking about the transgender wedge issue. because we just looked into it, and that really is the story, you know, and you could see how they kind of turned it into like a media panic. It's basically, if you're going to hold people in captivity, you have to treat them like human beings. If there's transgender human beings, 4% of people in prison, yeah, you have to treat them like human beings. I mean, that's pretty much it, but they've turned it into a thing. And it does seem like it's even kind of getting into people who are not far right. I don't know. But either way, that's the story, you know? Oh, also, they're trying not to get sued, you know, prisons and states and stuff. But then that's the story. Okay, then Bronco, cool name, goes into all the evidence that left-wing ideas are actually pretty popular. Take the federal minimum wage. Harris never talks about it. Might be part of the Democratic platform.
I'm from Northern California,
Campaign and presidential agenda. Does this
I
mean
live in the
country is
best
turning
part
its
of the best
$15
state
or higher minimum
in
wage?
the
A
worst
major left-wing
empire in
priority that has
history.
been with some crap? Obviously not, as we can see not only from robust recent polling that shows the measure is wildly popular across party lines, but from the results of state and municipal ballot measures. They did it all over the place, even in Florida. Florida, the place we look at and say, it's weird. This isn't the only such example. There are a host of progressive policies that pull well across the board that Harris either refuses to take up, like adding dental coverage to Medicare and lowering the program's eligibility age, or doesn't even talk about.
Yeah, why is dental coverage such a fucking clusterfuck for people that don't work for like a conventional company? Like, if you're working a W-2 job, you can almost certainly get dental insurance pretty easily as part of your company's healthcare plan. But if you're like an independent contractor, or if you're trying to get like dental insurance on the market, that shit's fucking weird and expensive, and it's annoying.
Like a national rent cap. Ooh, that'd be nice.
Oh, and Alicia Ember, I stream 6 days a week. I can't stream on Sundays, but otherwise I stream 6 days a week at 7 p.m. Sometimes 7:30, sometimes a little bit later, but usually from 7 p.m. until midnight or 1 a.m.
Okay,
6
what
days
the
a
hell
week.
else does this guy say here? This goddamn guy right here say, Harris's rightward lurch on foreign policy isn't justified by meeting the electorate where it is either. Polling consistently shows that voters don't like war. I'll just summarize it that way. They don't like wars. Oppose Israel's war and favor an arms embargo on it. And prefer the United States generally shrink its global footprint and focus on domestic problems.
They still miss the big picture on those two giant caveats. So the first one is, which part of progressivism are you talking about? The social stuff or the economic stuff?
Right.
Because if you're talking about the social stuff, I get what you're saying. You're totally right. Look at the polling. Whether we agree or disagree, and actually I've agreed
Tank dying
that
there
we
is
shouldn't be doing those
unfortunate.
policies from day one. That's part of why the left, some portions of the extreme left hate us.
Okay, we're getting kind of into deep.
Lychee, you're in the chat. The chat is a platform through which you can communicate with the streamer, including asking questions. That's the cool thing about Twitch.
Deep thoughts territory here. But this is part of being a human
I
being.
often want
You know, you're
to
like, what am I gonna
comment
leave behind when
on
I'm
YouTube
gone?
videos
You
I
know?
am watching.
Did I make the
when
world
I
a
realize
little
they
bit
are
better
not
for
live.
Tim Pool's possible
There
kids,
is no chat
Tim
on the
Pool's
YouTube
potential
videos.
kids, you know? And a big part of that is, unfortunately, political. You know, is life for the average person going to be pretty much better for the next generation or whatever? People think about that. People should think.
Ah, well, good for you, Lychee. Unfortunately, I'm already working with someone, and indeed, we're going to be having unique sub badges and emotes coming to the channel soon. I cannot wait to unveil them. But good hustle. I definitely. I've worked a few sales jobs in my times, and what you're doing right now is prospecting. So, very good prospecting, but I already have someone I'm working with. But I do hope you'll stick around and enjoy the stream regardless.
Think about that. And it does kind of look like.
And if you
from
sub,
watching
you'll
all
get your
this
own
media
unique
all the
emotes and
time
sub
that I look
badges
at,
as soon as they're
the
done.
situation that we're in is that
Which
there's
is
a
pretty cool.
giant like consent manufacturing operation with the media, and it kind of looks like when you read this stuff, what's going on is there's all these things that most people agree on. You know, yeah, people should get paid more. Medical care
Most
should be
jobs these
easier.
days are now
There shouldn't be
prospecting
wars all
jobs,
the
I
time.
find.
People kind of agree on all that
To
stuff.
my chagrin.
So a lot of the media looks for things that like people.
I
don't
never much
fully
enjoyed
understand,
prospecting personally,
You know, like
but
a good
mad
example
respect
is
for
like
those
the,
who do it.
Transgender prisoner thing. Like if you just hear that, you're like, I don't know. You know, like my mom, she's like, I don't know. I don't know about that. I'm upset, I think. You kind of look for that, and you get people to fight about that, and then you can.
Oh, I'm sorry. Did I resume the audio without fully answering Lychee. As I mentioned, I already have someone I'm working with, but good hustle. Just not necessary in my case. I won't name drop her until the work is done, but once the work is done, I will obviously be giving her a plug as well.
Keep the other stuff. You can keep people kind of divided so they don't use their power to go after the stuff that they obviously agree on. And a lot of it, as we kind of just saw, is based on just like misunderstanding, you know? But that's a big part of the media. The media is kind of like, in large part, a brainwashing operation. So that's kind of the deep thought that I've been having a lot. If you're trying to make this progress, what am I going to leave to the next generations when I'm gone, kind of thing? How can the world be better? What's the biggest impact I can make to make the world better? Yada yada yada. It's much harder in an environment where people are constantly being, brainwashed by the media, into fighting over issues that shouldn't really be issues. Then they're divided, so they can't get together to sort of like do political action as like a unified group, because like politicians aren't really gonna do that. They just respond to incentives and disincentives. So it's got to be normal people doing things. So on and on. I think you get it. This is a serious part of the show. What the hell else do we got here?
Oh, some other crap. Let's take a look.
Not all the cops at the Paris Olympics are even people. Yep, they've got the Paw Patrol. Kidding.
Hey, shut up, man.
Because we live in scary sci-fi future times, there are RoboCop surveillance cameras all over Paris running somewhat controversial AI software. In 2023, with the Olympics in mind, France passed a law allowing themselves to trial AI video surveillance around the games.
The French government is currently under fire after it announced a proposal to use video surveillance assisted by artificial intelligence, or AI, ahead of the Paris 2024 Olympics.
Thank you for clarifying.
Last week.
On the other hand, the new law will allow algorithms to detect behavior deemed suspicious in crowds, such as individuals who are static, walking the wrong way, or wearing a cover. The system is supposed to remain in place until 2025, but this association believes it will last. It has just launched a campaign against what it calls biometric surveillance.
Okay, so remember the last thing we were just talking about. A bunch of people by the media have been kind of convinced that, I don't even know how to describe it. I don't even know what the conclusion is. Transgender people deserve to suffer more in prison, I guess. I don't even really know how to describe it, but a bunch of people have been convinced that that's like a debate we should be having, or an issue. I don't know. It makes you think, the media generally that's a good concept. People can share things, they can share information, they can entertain each other, but it has this dark side of misinforming, misleading people, dividing people, warping people's brains. This next thing is the same kind of thing, where as a concept, technology is really good, I think. I like it.
I do like this on technology.
I generally like it, but the same kind of concern applies, and we're seeing this more and more. This used to be the realm of conspiracy theorism. Digital surveillance.
Sweet.
Big Brother and all this stuff. This used to be kind of a fringe thing, but now it's like, I hear people talking about this all the time. And it's the same kind of thing. As a concept, technology is good. And the pitch for a lot of digital surveillance is like, well, we're trying to keep people safer. But just like with the media, it's like, is this going to be used for evil? Okay, what is this goddamn thing right here say? France wants to
used for profit,
Olympic-style
which is
surveillance
generally
permanent.
pretty evil.
Okay. This summer's Paris Olympics saw an experiment in AI-assisted algorithmic video surveillance. Now French officials say they want to make it permanent, in what experts call a worrying use of invasive and even racially discriminatory technology. Oh my God.
What the hell?
Maybe they could use those cameras.
I didn't expect to get it twice in a row.
Okay, that's not nice.
That's
This
on me
controversial
for
algorithmic
nothing
video
get it twice in a
surveillance that
row.
France rolled out in advance of the Olympics
3 times
is only
in a
supposed to
row.
last through March 2025.
Fuck me deadly,
Concern only
dude.
large-scale public events like sporting matches and concerts. Experts in surveillance and human rights told me about the debilitating effects such mass surveillance can have
Gave
on
it to me
dissent
all
and
3
peaceful
times.
protest,
That's
creating a
a
dissuasive chilling
motherfucker.
effect. Whoa. So yeah, I think there's a trend we're going to see more and more. Skepticism, concern about this high-tech digital surveillance stuff. It's sort of a tough one.
Oh, and we're just pulling immediately.
Sounds sort of
Cool.
conspiratorial.
Cool. Let's fucking
but
go.
the generous interpretation of people who are concerned about this is, well, the media kind of is effectively, as as we've kind of seen, a kind of tool of control in a lot of cases. You know, why wouldn't high-tech, AI-powered digital surveillance kind of do the same kind of thing? I think that's a rational concern. I think we're going to see more and more debate about this and concern about this. It's like, it's rising to the surface more. You know what? This is kind of a very serious episode. I think we need some comedy relief.
What's LeBron James doing?
Oh my God, it's me, LeBron James. I just pooped my pants. And then I fell in a bucket of sugar.
Oh, wow. LeBron James, we can always count on him for some great comedy. Oh, guys, I do have an announcement to make. First ever patron only live stream. Today.
Yeah, it was
what is
today.
It? October 24th, 2024, Year of God, Year of Christ. 7:30 p.m. Central
Anno
time.
Domini.
People ask, they're like, what time zone? I should have put that.
Domine?
I'm a very stupid individual. 7:30 p.m. Central time. Join the Discord. There's like instructions.
Oh, I was
in
still
the
at work.
Post,
It happened a while
post.
ago.
If you have any trouble, put it in the comments. I'll figure it out. Okay? Okay. Love you guys. I will talk to you tomorrow. Bye-bye.
Hey, Drawny James here. We will be doing that stream from my car where I drive around listening to tunes. I drive around the neighborhood, and I do want other people to hear my music. So windows down, audio level all the way up. People need to hear my taste in music, which is way above average. Okay? And that's putting it lightly, way above average.
Pretty easy time.
I hope you
even
can
with
make
a
it to
bunch
that stream because it will
of
be
wipes
from
and
my
deaths.
car with the
Love seeing
tunes
that.
blaring. Oh man, what a life I live. Do you agree? Go click and subscribe below if you do agree, and share with a friend. I don't even know what I'm talking about at this point because I did have a few drinks, okay? And I'm not ashamed of that because I work hard. No, I don't. I just make fake GTA 6 trailers all that. But anyway, I gotta get the hell out of here. I got a lot of problems to deal with, but I'll see you later. Bye.
Okay, well, I guess I thought we might be doing another one, but it sounds like we're not. That's fine. Finally, the Dratnos video on the new $90 store mount.
Hello, everybody. My name is Dratnos. Today we have a lot of World of Warcraft news, but we're going to start off with the elephant, or the Brutosaur in the room, rather.
Yeah.
The
The
introduction
Brutosaur
of a
in the room.
new
Good one.
$90 store mount that is like the old Caravan Brutosaur, but is now available in the store for $90, and it has, in addition to an auction house, it has a mailbox as well, which is, of course, a power level upgrade. It's better, so I've gone ahead and picked one up. But there are a lot of people that are unhappy about this for various reasons, one of which is that the patch has just come out and is in quite a buggy state. Even historically compared to previous patches, this one feels like this.
I actually prefer the trade goods merchant and the repair anvil instead of the mailbox. That's actually my preference. And if they would update the trade good merchant to have current expansion stuff as opposed to BFA stuff, it'd be even better. I don't think the mobile mailbox is all that useful, honestly.
It's kind of an especially bad set of things going on, which we'll cover in this video as well. I will give my take on this. So I'm typically in favor of store mount, store cosmetics. I think those are some of my more preferred ways for games to monetize. Yes, even though it also has a sub. Obviously, I would prefer them offer the entire game for free, everything that I wanted, for free.
That would be pretty cool,
of course,
getting everything for free.
If there has to be revenue raised, I think that optional cosmetics and stuff like that are my favorite way to do it. Now, this one is a little bit less like that because it does come with somewhat substantial
Just
power,
one
right?
more
Like,
upgrade.
Depending on what you're trying to do, having an auction house at your fingertips and a mailbox at your fingertips, you know, we could already do this obviously with the Caravan Brutosaur and then a mailbox toy, right? You can go get the Postmaster toy, you can get the engineering mailbox. There are a couple other, I think, mailboxes as well that you
Wings
can get your
of
hands on
Hanara.
that are potentially powerful. But this is, you know, better and easier. So it's sort of different than just a kind of flashy mount in that way. Now, the $90 price point as well does raise a lot of, I think, ire from players, again, especially because there's this feeling of you've literally just released
90 real all-American dollars. More than the cost of the expansion, by the way. This Brutosaur right here costs more than the whole expansion.
a sort of unfinished patch, or a patch that is riddled with these different bugs and these baffling balance decisions that are kind of griefing the state of the game for a lot of players, and it does feel sort of tone deaf.
I think my Brutosaur is better.
Large
I like
purchase
mine
that
better.
A lot of people are going to feel a lot of FOMO about, and feel like is a very, you know, something that they want to have or are sad even if they don't buy.
Now, if I didn't have my Brutosaur, I would definitely be feeling that pressure to spend $90 I definitely don't have. And I'd probably give in to that pressure if I'm being honest.